We are live and rolling.
We're live.
And rolling. And
That's,
then you always
that's what
have
I'm
to,
going to press the share button.
that.
Where's the share button?
The share button.
There it is. It's at the bottom. Post. Share to.
All right.
Katrina. Where you at, Katrina? Terry. Cameron. Boom.
Hey, Lisa. What else we got? Well, we're waiting to get going. You know the deal. Share. Tag.
People should share.
Yeah, people
Please
should
share.
Terry's watching.
Hi, Terry.
Kelly's watching.
Hi, Kelly. Are you watching, Laurie?
Sure.
Are you watching?
You're watching. Laurie's watching.
Laurie.
Hi, Laurie.
Hi, Laurie. Tag someone, Laurie.
Can't tag, man. I sent a bunch of
I turned my
messages.
phone off.
It's gonna be a good one.
Oh, yes.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi, Georgia.
Marie.
Hi, Kelly. Hi, Marie.
Kelly's my aunt.
Really?
Yeah, the one without the picture.
I'm
Hey,
contemplating
Georgia.
what to say.
Hmm?
I'm contemplating what to say now that I know your aunt is watching.
Wow.
I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice today. Your nephew's a real swell guy.
Yeah, hey, Deborah.
Real swell.
You don't know him that well, then. No, I'm just
Man, she's dogging you. Hey,
Yeah.
Lisa.
On air dogging me.
Dogging you. Hey, Vanessa.
That can't
Your
possibly
dad
turn.
is a real swell guy.
Yeah.
And your aunt's watching. So
Yes.
say hi to your aunt because she's watching.
As
Family reunion.
family reunion, is it?
Davis family reunion.
All right.
I can't tag. I don't like it.
We got another 5 minutes.
Disappeared.
See, the good thing right now is if you look, right?
Yeah.
Lisa can contribute to this conversation.
Oh, I saw that. I'm looking for. I hope you do contribute, Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa. You can't just be a top fan and not contribute.
No, you gotta re-earn your top fan status from time to time. You can't coast.
Yeah.
But I believe you have what it takes. I want you to know that.
Hey, Nicole. Megan.
Hi, Megan. Hi, Nicole. Damn it.
All right, Terry, we got you to get some rest and shower and do all that good stuff. You tagging people, Tim?
Dude, I'm trying. Like, I can't. It doesn't let me.
Doesn't let you?
Oh. It's frustrating.
Very.
Should have brought my laptop.
Yeah. Keep tagging, keep tagging.
Don't just tag, share. Share and tag. Tag and share.
Tag and share.
There you go, Lisa. Tag that old guy, David. I just saw him.
Hey, Nicole, the topic today is Dr. Death.
Hey, Brandon.
It's about a doctor who had quite the run, we'll say. Ended up with 3 local deaths that he was initially charged with. And he was part of the biggest Medicaid scam ever busted.
So far. Probably that'll change.
Hey, my brother Jamie's watching. Hey, Jamie.
Hey, brother Jamie.
Down in Texas.
Really?
Yeah.
You got a couch down there?
A couch.
Yeah, man. I'll couch surf.
Oh, aren't you like the backyard kind of guy?
Hey, Silky. Hi, Jamie.
Hey, Brenda. That's hilarious, Lisa. You're still getting bills from his office.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah.
You should drop a picture of one on there on our thread.
Yeah, be interesting. Because I know he's not writing any
I would probably
bills.
not. I would probably not pay them. I would probably let him just
Didn't somebody die out?
hire a collection agency and come after me.
Yeah, or I would forward them to
The
his
slammer.
jail cell.
Did
That'd be
somebody
fun.
buy his practice?
Hmm?
Did somebody buy his practice?
Oh, I would doubt it. I would say that's pretty
So-
stained.
So we got you a place to
Maybe.
stay. We got you a place to stay.
We do. Where?
Yeah.
Who?
So if you're nice, they have a couch and a backyard.
Oh, thank you.
That's awesome.
I love it.
It doesn't get it. You get the best of both worlds.
You're right. Choices are the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would toss all those bills, Lisa. That's for sure. All right, so we're gonna get going.
Let's get going.
A little early today.
Yeah, that's all right.
Don't start with the furniture. Yep.
Don't
No,
start
we
with
won't do that. No appliances today. Are you selling the fridge again, Tim?
Maybe after.
A 5G fridge?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe later.
All right, we're going to get started. Today's topic is about a doctor who he had a lot of things going on. They busted him as part of the biggest Medicaid scam ever. He was one of 6 doctors in Michigan, and I believe it was like 60 something nationwide.
47, I
Or
want to say.
47, 47, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. There
it
are quite
kept-
a few.
It kept growing the further they got into the investigation. So initially it was like 58 million that they scammed Medicaid for, these 6 doctors in Michigan. That amount eventually grew to like 122 million. What kind of kicked it off was he had 2 things going on at once. He was a part of this ring, we'll call it, this criminal ring. They were in cahoots with all of the convalescent homes. They would write prescriptions and bill for things that weren't happening. And a lot of those prescriptions were painkillers. And I guess that's where they seen where the money was at. There was always the follow-up appointments. There was just a lot more involved with that. So that was a big part of it. And this guy had 3 offices. And if you go online, and we can drop the name afterwards so you guys can check it out. Hey, Katrina, thanks for tuning in.
Hey, Katrina.
We'll drop the link to his old practice that he had, one of them anyway. And if you click on the reviews, you'll see that long before any of this happened, a lot of the reviews stated from actual patients that they went in for one thing and then they were given a bunch of meds that they didn't need. And his MO was, we'll see you in 4 weeks for a follow-up to see how you're doing and get a refill. So that was kind of how they were milking the system. And then in the meantime, they were just charging outrageous things that were not happening. So what that would eventually lead to was over-prescribing. And one could argue that one way or the other. Tim and I had an interesting conversation earlier. But one of the drugs that he was prescribing excessively was methadone. Locally here, and one of his 3 practices, we had 3 overdoses within a short period of time. And they started looking into if there were any common denominators. And it just so happened to be he was the common denominator. He was the main doctor for each one of them. They were getting pretty much the same medications. And so they started digging a little further into the actual conditions that they were suffering from as patients. And it did not validate not only the drugs that he was prescribing, but the amount, the dosage. So long story short, 3 people lost their lives from that locally. There were 2 more in another county where one of his other offices was located, but he was not charged on those in combination with the 3 here, just because they couldn't prove that he wrote those scripts in the same county. So at the end of the day, this guy is facing being charged with Medicaid fraud at the utmost scale possible. He's charged with. Why don't you tell him what he was charged with, Tim?
I have to pull it up. I know. I'll tell you this. He was looking possibly at life, so it was no joke.
It was multiple charges that were going to bring him to that point.
It was delivering a controlled substance that led to death.
Okay, times 3 initially.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, this all takes time, right? So, with the 3 individuals that overdosed and passed away that he was initially charged with, 2 of them were dropped. And the reason they were dropped, even though everything was in line with the other one, was they were cremated. And by the time all this happened, they couldn't get to the bodies to do their thing medical wise to find out, hey, was this really it? And I believe one of them they initially said had other drugs involved, so the one of them was just dropped kind of automatically off of those facts. So at the end of the day, out of 3, he's being charged with 1. He pled guilty to that.
Yes. Yeah. And they were talking somewhere between 7 and 10 years.
Mm-hmm. So meanwhile, this guy's being pushed around through county jails, federal prisons, while this is all taking place over a period of 5 years. I mean, initially, I believe it was the Medicaid fraud began even earlier. When they went and arrested him and searched his house, they found over $100,000 cash in his house. They confiscated $4.1 million in assets. They ended up fining him $250,000 on top of confiscating the forfeited $4.1 million. So out of that $58 million, who knows where the other money was? I don't know if they found it, whatever. But this doctor, 1 out of 6, was held responsible for roughly $4.4 million. So he's serving his time. But during this whole thing, it's a process. The charges were initially brought up by the local prosecutor's office. They were investigating this, obviously, in conjunction with other agencies. Then it's turned over to the state attorney general. At that point, there's always a little bit of a delay. They have to review the case. They have fact finding on their end, and it just extends this whole process out. So that's why you have a process that's normally a year to year and a half, maybe 2, going well beyond 5. Then there was a change of the attorney general. So then we had another delay because we had a new person in office that was in charge of that case. So as we go along, there's all these delays. You have family members mourning the loss of their family members that have overdosed, and you have law enforcement saying, and a prosecutor's office saying, hey, this guy killed them, right, by over-prescribing. Body dug up from grave. Yes, Katrina, that is right. They did. That's what we were mentioning. Out of those 3, 2 were cremated. 1, they did end up exhuming. And that's how they were able to confirm the prescriptions were a part of that overdose. So with us today, we have Laurie. Laurie, she went through this whole process more or less on the victim side of it, which her brother happened to be one of the people that overdosed. So Laurie, why don't you tell us a little bit about how A, you found out, B, kind of how that process went along with dealing with law enforcement prosecutor's office up until he was actually sentenced.
That was a nightmare. Well, the process. It was the middle of the night. I found out he died, overdosed, and then
How old was he at the time?
so it was about 10 years. About 40.
40, 41 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to talk up. They can't hear you.
Oh.
Yeah.
He was about 40, 41 years old. Notified in the middle of the night by the police.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing I know, I hear about it. There's a court case, and the doctor was arrested on freaking Facebook.
So you heard about it on Facebook and social media that the doctor was arrested in conjunction with your brother's death.
Right. And I had to contact the police to find out what the whole thing was.
How long after your brother passed did the arrest occur? Do you remember?
No, I don't. I'll tell you the truth. I want
Less
to
than
say
a year, more than a year?
Oh, maybe 6 months. If
Okay.
that. If
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
If that. Actually.
So it was pretty quick in a way.
Yeah. So we're going to get to prior to this whole incident. But a lot of times doctors become well known for prescribing drugs.
Correct. They sometimes are referred to as pill mills.
Yes. So this doctor happened to be one of the, there's probably two at the time in our area that were well known in the community to prescribe it, basically whatever you wanted. That's what he was tagged as. So you had a lot of people going through addiction. They were getting the pills. I read one statement. It was to the paper. It wasn't actually in court, but it was a patient. And she did an interview with the local paper. And she stated that she didn't need the pain meds. And every 4 weeks she had to go back. She was required to go back for her other meds. And she just kept getting these prescriptions for the pain meds. And she said, I didn't take them, but I sold them, right? So that was a lot of money for her in her pocket. But she says, looking back on it, it was totally wrong on both ends, hers and his. And so that just proves that he was going out of his way. I don't say prove, it's
That,
neither here nor there, but it's a statement.
And that was super common, I want to say 10, 15 years ago when all these prescriptions started becoming so prevalent. A lot of people would look at that as just secondary income. And so I think that attitude trickled down from the doctors themselves. Like, hey, no big deal, right?
Yeah.
There's a script, no big deal. Like, use it, don't. I'm just...
Well, there's different laws now, too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, things are different now. We're starting to see these prosecutions. But back then, man, I knew a lot of people to go to who got scripts just because they were going to sell them. They had no intention of taking them, right?
So it was that easy. In a smaller community, it's a little more difficult to get away with that because word travels fast.
Sure.
You go to the bigger cities, you'll have people coming in from all over the country to just specifically for these pill mills, right?
Yeah.
So going back prior to all this, Laurie, did he have issues with addiction?
Yes.
Okay, do you know what his drug of choice was?
Heroin, booze, could be cocaine, crack, more crack than anything.
Did he struggle most of his life? Was this something that dated back to like his youth, or
no? He struggled most of his life.
So it was a well-known thing to you and your family,
right? Yeah.
So obviously, at that point, he finds access to.
He didn't get into heroin until he moved up here, though.
Yeah. So he finds access to basically free drugs, because I know a lot of these doctors and him being a big part of this Medicaid scam, I'm sure he was making sure his patients were on Medicare and Medicaid, I should say. So he found free prescriptions. And how long did that whole process take from when you found out that this doctor was arrested for the deaths of these three people? And I believe they're like all within a year, right? Or was it a shorter period of time?
I think it was a shorter period of time.
Okay.
And I would have to go back to the paperwork, but I wasn't, wasn't paying
Happened
attention
quick,
to
though,
the
huh?
other
Yeah.
victims.
Sure.
Yeah. So within a short period of time, anyway. So how long was it from when you were notified that this doctor had been arrested for basically the death of your brother? And one could argue that one way or the other, just as they did in court. But at the end of the day, this doctor, he was charged with it. So going forward, like, how was that process? Were you informed along the way as to what's going on? Were you kind of kept in the dark?
I was kind of kept in the dark, but I couldn't go on vacation. I couldn't do anything unless I went up to the prosecutor's office to let them know where my whereabouts was at any given time, because they didn't know what was happening.
So they were pretty much on call as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then you had the other agencies involved,
Right.
and then some of the case got screwed up too. So
So Lisa,
then I just threw my hands up and said, "I'm done."
so Lisa, you actually we're going to put your comment up here because you were actually a patient of his. Okay. So that was actually in one of his reviews, a negative review. Someone went in for a thyroid issue, was prescribed Synthroid, and he addressed a weight problem and put them on a weight med, which I'm assuming was the same med. And it's funny that you had that same thing happen to you. So this lady went and did her own research, called another doctor, and found out that she should not be taking a weight loss pill with her Synthroid. So she dropped him like a hot potato.
And like to have sleep issues, to just say come back in 30 days and I'll give you Xanax is really not the way to go, right? And that I'm not a medical professional, but as an experienced drug addict, there are alternatives to Xanax that can be tried prior to putting somebody on a narcotic, because Xanax is a mofo to come off of. Yeah. It's one of the worst. It's up there with alcohol.
Yes.
So to just give somebody that without trying to let's see if trazodone works. Let's see if Ambien works. Let's try Clonidine. There's all these different options. And that is, in my opinion, reckless to do it.
Right. There's always other avenues to try before you go right to a med or a prescription.
A narcotic, a controlled substance.
A controlled substance. And again, Tim, you made a very valid point. This was back before, as you like to say, the doctors were scared straight.
Yeah.
It's a whole new time right now. And so, so that's who we're talking about. Tim, I don't think he's going to get your tag. And I don't think...
No, I mean, someone asked who the doctor was.
Oh, okay.
That's why I put that.
All right.
But, if he has a Facebook, maybe I should.
It's quite possible.
He would probably find this podcast interesting.
Though. Yeah, federal prisons are a little more lax.
And it's better than watching paint dry. So why not?
Right. So moving forward, he's back and forth through all these different facilities with all these different charges. He's dealing with the Medicaid fraud. He's dealing with 3 pending charges, and we'll go up here to Katrina and put her comment up there. And that was exactly what happened. 2 bodies were cremated, and there was no proof. So he pled guilty to 1. And he's off to state prison. The way that works is he will serve his state time in concurrent with the federal time. So all that means is if there's any federal time left over, when he's done with his state time, he will go to federal prison from there. I think it was within 7 years, he'll be back out. So what he's going to do, obviously, he's not going to practice medicine, but that's on him. Like, you can't, he got away easy, I believe.
One thing I don't know if we touched on enough, if at all, was the substance that he was prescribing that was killing people was methadone, right?
Yes.
So methadone
But that's the cure for to help the addicts.
Sure.
Also.
Right.
And there's only at that time I think there was only like 1 or 2 doctors in here that actually prescribed that.
That's the problem
to
with methadone and these
help.
maintenance drugs is that you really need to be in touch with an addict when you start giving them these medications, and that's why we see methadone clinics who will at first
They didn't
only
have
give
those
you
back in that day.
right. But that's the better way to go about it.
Right.
Because at first, if you give an addict a month's worth of methadone and see in 30 days I'll give you a refill, they're going to be out in about 4 or 5 days. You have to start by having them come in every day.
Right.
And then you kind of gradually progress to every other day. Or we'll give you your meds for the weekend. We'll see you on Monday, right? There's a structure there, and there's a process that should be happening in conjunction with therapy and follow-ups. And I don't know if he did that, but I can't imagine that he was having your brother or anybody else come to his office every day for a new script.
No,
right,
I can't imagine that either.
So Xanax, explain it. Georgia wants to Xanax explain. You want to do that, Tim?
What Xanax is?
Yes.
Xanax is from the benzodiazepine family, which is prescribed primarily for anxiety. It's super effective. I'll tell you what, like if you're tripping, say you're going through, you lost your job, you lost a loved one, and you're just kind of like melting down from the stresses of life. And we all go through that from time to time. Xanax can be really helpful. However, it's very addictive, and one builds up a tolerance to it very quickly, and then it becomes a problem. You've created an addict. So again, I think there's all these drugs like opioids and benzos. They work. There's a place for them, but there should be, I think, usually like a gradual ramping up to those, right? Like they shouldn't be the first thing we dispense. Here's some OxyContin, go away, right? You should try other things first. You should try solutions before Xanax, because some people can't handle it. And a lot of times, right? So a lot of times a lesser drug is a better drug because it's effective. It solves the problem. It helps the person to relax. It helps the person to cope with the stresses of life until they can figure out other things like therapy or just the storm passes. But if you go right to those hardcore drugs, you can create a monster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lisa, that was one. His reviews, you could actually tell by reading the reviews on him, the ones that were getting what they wanted and were happy with it, best reviews ever. I mean, you would have thought this doctor was top-notch, the all-around perfect doctor. But there were quite a few comments that resemble yours. It's on the screen right now. So there's definitely mixed, overwhelmingly negative, but there are a lot of mixed comments on his bedside manners, which for a doctor, that's extremely important. That'd probably be the second to knowledge and treatment, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I want to go up here.
And, that's part of the reason, Joe, I'm super loyal to my doctor. You know that just being my friend. And that bedside manner is part of it. But also because he didn't just start giving me all the methadone I wanted and walk out the door. And because he pushed me toward Vivitrol before I even knew what it was, right? So I really felt like, man, this guy actually cares. He's really trying to do right by me. He will give me drugs, but he's trying to give me the right drugs.
When did what is it, Vivitrol? When did that actually come out?
That was in the 70s.
Yeah.
Vivitrol came out in the 70s.
I meant like lately.
It about 4 years ago, was it? Where it started
about
really
4
getting
years.
popular?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And for me, I started taking it 8 or 9 months ago.
Oh.
Okay, so we're going right along. Early, yeah, that's... I would agree with that. Absolutely. Sarah Hendricks says...
Hey, Sarah.
What a brick. Yeah. Like I said, there were so many different comments, and I highly recommend you go read them because you'll see that there's like a total different wide range of them, and you can actually, by the comments, you can see who was happy with what they were getting and why.
Right. Because they were drug seeking.
Right.
He was their dope man.
Yeah, they don't want to sink the ship, right?
Yeah, they're giving a shout to their dope man.
Yeah.
Hi, Melissa.
So Georgia,
Hi, Denise.
we'll give you a quick thing on Vivitrol. Yeah, it came out in the 70s. It was mainly intended for alcohol. Then they found out, hey, this works for opioids.
Yeah.
So let's use it for opioids.
Let's do it.
What they found is that alone, it's not going to do the trick. You have to have therapy. We always say it's the key to the toolbox. The toolbox has always been there. Therapy, groups, general health, all that good stuff. And support while getting everything else in line. So, here we go. So, Katrina's problem is patient was looking for these doctors. Absolutely. Those are those pill mills. There's actually quite a few. Well, I know of one documentary on Netflix, I believe it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's great. It's called, like The Pharmacist, I think.
Yes, it is. The Pharmacist.
It's excellent. Check it out.
Check it out.
Once you're done with Tiger King.
Yeah, once you finish Tiger King and you buy your tiger.
Oh man, someone was just on the. It'll come back to me.
Is it this one here? You didn't know my history. I worked hard to overcome eating disorders when I was a teen. Lucky for me, didn't let this meeting. He sent me out of his life. Yeah, and that's like an emotional bomb. Like if you are working hard towards something and you get a doctor that's not only recommending that you take a med to lose weight, but also just kind of terrible bedside manner, insultive. Yeah, that can play a lot on your mental well-being, and sometimes kind of push you towards using meds.
And in these small towns, a lot of people don't have this wide array of doctors they can select from, right? Like you kind of like you got a limited selection. One of the things I wanted to hit on, Joe, though, was these pill mills and all this doctor-seeking behavior. We see it in Lapeer, and we see it in these communities around Pontiac, Detroit, and Flint, and it goes hand in hand with the factory scene, right?
Oh, it's all in the suburbs too.
Well, it is, but like
just not as out front with it.
No, I agree with that, but that's why I think, like Joe said earlier, it's kind of harder to get away with.
Comment of the day.
Right? You rock, Joe.
I appreciate that. We try. Hi, Laurie.
I know
Sandy.
we can do better than that, people. We can beat that comment of the day.
No, we got. Yeah, so those pill mills. Hey, Ann, how's everything going? Yeah, pill mills, they're not as common as they used to be, and the reason being is Tim's all popular phrase will say, doctors have been scared straight. There's a check and balance now. ATAVE, they're monitoring what doctors are prescribing and why. So,
and we have things like maps, which alert people to malpractice, so to speak, a lot more quickly, right? Like we're more integrated now electronically. So back in the day, you could take a paper script to Walmart, and then you could take a paper script to Meijer, and they were always a step behind.
No.
Correct me.
No, correct me. No, it's always been by law they always have to be in with one another. If Rite Aid fills it, and you go to Walmart won't fill it because Rite Aid already did. They always have to have communication.
That's the maps.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the maps is relative. Really?
Yeah.
Well, there was I can speak from experience.
Then somebody didn't do their job properly.
Probably the case, right? And that's because I think there was a greater emphasis placed on it when people started dying, when this became a bigger problem. Maybe that system's always been in place, but just like Vivitrol, right? Which has been around forever,
right.
It didn't come to the forefront because there wasn't this epidemic. But I think the epidemic created it's just like the doctors being scared straight. I think some of the pharmacists probably were.
That could be too. But
There we go.
The pharmacies that I worked at, it was right there. We had to cross everything.
Yeah,
that's actually interesting to hear.
One of the offices in the city and pick up what she called a boat. Made a lot of money.
Huh.
Yeah.
Never heard of a boat.
Oh yeah, that's been around for a while.
All right.
You're just young.
So. Yeah. And, how many years ago was that, Laurie? Because like we're talking about right now, maps, and everybody's on board right now with controlling any type of doctor going outside of the gray area, and I'm sure there are some that are still selectively overprescribing, but not as in this case. He was just across the board. Let's get as many people coming back to the office as possible every 4 weeks.
Right.
That's not going to happen quite as often. It may be a select few, so it kind of stays under the radar somewhat, but eventually, yeah, it's going to be a question of why are we doing this?
And that's the motivation for these doctors, right? When you're prescribing these medications and word gets around and people come and you get a lot of turnover and you're billing the insurance companies for their visits or whatever.
Right.
That's why you do that, right? It's just like, I mean, you're being a drug dealer. You're just trying to do it under the guise of medicine. You're trying to do
Right.
it legally, but like the motivation for why a Dr. Ataya or anybody else would do that is clear. It's money, right?
All right, so Laurie was with her doctor for 4 years, and he was prescribing whatever she wanted. That's how her and her ex-husband became addicts. And once she overdosed, apparently Doc didn't want anything else to do with her. Imagine that. Imagine that.
You know, and getting back to my doctor, because I think is relevant, when he would drop me at times, and if I was dirty, I'm grateful that he never turned me away, because there were times he started to see me more frequently, and he started to get real with me about how far he was willing to go. But I'm glad that my doctor never just shunned me because I did an addict thing and overdosed. And I'm not.
Yeah.
It's just what comes to my mind when Laurie makes that comment.
So Deborah has a question. What is that? A boat?
Something that you can get across the Atlantic Ocean with, across the
There's
Pacific
motorboats,
Ocean with.
there's paddle
Yeah,
boats.
that's the problem right now in this era of quarantine. Do not motorboat.
So actually what it is a script of 1,000 pills.
He said motorboat.
Yes. A script, a well sought after script
That
with
was
a
a
street
light
value
balance.
of 1,000 bills.
You learned something
Yeah.
new today.
So there's another definition of it. The term boat was a combination of multiple pain meds and benzos. That's when, you have something serious going on.
Soma,
Yes.
muscle relaxer for anybody who doesn't know. Somas are often incorporated with opioids, at least back in the day. Huh.
I don't know.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, so as these doctors are being hemmed up for this Medicaid fraud, that's obviously when they're taking all these records. And one of the interesting things was on all 3 cases where they prescribed these medications and overprescribed, the notes weren't legible. There were notes, but they couldn't read them. That's, we all joke about how doctors have terrible handwriting and whatnot. These were like not even legible in any fashion. So it was like you can't even determine any rhyme or reason as to why the patient received these medications. So that's probably another reason why they may have dropped. I mean, that's kind of gray area, So yeah, there's still doctors out there. But like I said, I think it's getting to the point now where MAPS is a scary thing for anybody in the medical field.
An overdose is a scary thing for anybody in
Yes.
the medical field, because that's eventually what led to him getting popped, right? So I think people are going to rein in, doctors are going to rein in even if they're prescribing some of these controlled substances, they're probably going to start prescribing a little less, so it looks more responsible, right? Not just all the Xanax you want, just holler, tell me what you need.
Yeah.
That's going to get you in trouble.
And a lot of times what you see is there'll be a combination of medications, and maybe 1 or 2 of these medications would normally require someone to go to some sort of therapy, whether it be mental therapy or physical therapy, some sort of therapy to hopefully reduce the symptoms or the pain or whatever the case may be. I think they're going more towards that direction now. So hopefully it's less and less, and you have to remember that pharmaceutical companies are being sued right now as we speak.
$1 billion lawsuits.
Yes, from states, from cities. It's just like a matter of time until these doctors are on tap, because guess what? To be a doctor, you have to have insurance.
Yeah, and it's my opinion, you're talking about therapy, Joe. If you're going to prescribe somebody something addictive that's going to have withdrawal coming out the other side potentially, I think like therapy is a must. I think they should insist on it so people can wrap their minds around. It's the only way to make sure these people are properly educated about what they're getting into. Like, hey, I'm all about helping you treat this problem right now.
Yeah.
But this is what the future looks like. These are some obstacles in front of you, and you need to brace yourself for that. We're going to work together on them, but like in working together on them, here's something you need to do to hold up your end. You need to go.
Now you can do that. There's more programs now for that. But,
thank God.
10 years ago, there was nothing.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So doctors definitely got kickbacks. That was what they found in this case, Jerry, was they were sending people to these convalescent homes or recommending them to them, and they were getting kickbacks. That was part of the scam that was going on. But in conjunction with that, we're going to put up Lisa's comment here.
Yeah, that's a valuable one.
Yes.
I just responded to.
So you can use a website, and Lisa, if you want to throw that in there, that'd be cool.
Yep.
To tell you how much your doctor's paid from pharmaceutical companies. I avoid doctors who receive large amounts of money from them. That is a very valid point. That should be completely illegal, in my opinion. A doctor should make their money by actually seeing a patient and following up with a patient, but not prescribing a med. It takes literally 30 seconds to prescribe a med.
Yeah, if it's legal to get kickbacks, man, that's right up there with like the body hunters, like we talked about in the past. That's a problem. There should not be a financial incentive to prescribe a particular medication. Doctors should be prescribing these things based on what's appropriate for treatment, not on what percentage they're going to get. That's
and what you're going to find
ridiculous.
Is, I lived in Germany for quite a long time. And they made a transition because doctors were getting all kinds of kickbacks. You'd go in and they would have just cabinets full of sample meds, right? And they were getting huge kickbacks. They were being sent on cruises. They were getting cash. They were getting this. They were getting that. And finally, the government stepped in and said, guess what? No more. You'll lose your license, right? And I think part of the big problem, and it's a whole nother topic, a whole nother show, it could be with pharmaceutical companies having their fingers in everything, from the federal government to the state government, to doctors, and right down to insurance companies. So when Katrina asked, what can we do to stop these active doctors? You can turn them into the DEA. They're more than welcome to take complaints. They will look at them. And they will figure it out. It's very difficult when you don't say anything. Like people they want it out of their community, but they don't want to say anything.
Right.
And it's considered tattletaling. Well, guess what? If that's going on in my community, I'm going to stand up for my community.
Yeah, in tattletaling, that's a way to look at it. Yep. But another way to look at it is saving lives. So you make the decision how you perceive it. I know how I look at it.
Yep. In this case, it could have been 3 to 5 lives saved, if not more. So I'm going to put this website up there. Go ahead, check that out, and that's something that's really interesting. Just punch in some local doctors. Check it out. Say,
I'm going to check out mine.
Yeah, Tim's going to get on and check out his. I can tell you right now that he did not get anything from Vivitrol.
Yeah, not this time.
So, yeah, that was kind of a story all in itself. So, Tim went to go get. Why don't you tell the story, Tim? You can't hide in the corner. You gotta
I don't know. I mean, simple enough story. I went to get my Vivitrol shot this month. Joe and I took a ride out to Swartz Creek. Went into the doctor's office, and the doctor with the mask on came in, gave me an elbow dap, and said, like, sorry, bro, we don't have your shot. Basically, the nurse who typically administers the shot and orders the shot took a voluntary layoff because of COVID. So COVID robbed me of Vivitrol last week. But you know what? COVID won't stop me because I'll be back at the doctor's office and I'll get my shot.
Well, guess what? On Tuesday after 10:30 a.m., you can go get your shot, your Vivitrol shot, because Vivitrol, the actual pharmaceutical company, sent one to them.
They did?
They did.
Like local? Are we talking?
They have local shipping, yeah. But no, they sent them a sample.
Send who a sample?
Your doctor, for you.
My doctor.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. All right, you're at the forefront of this. I see. Okay.
So I was on top of it, right?
You were. Thank you. That's great to know.
But no, that's one of the things you have to realize is they're all tied in financially, right? You have people lobbying, federal level, state level. It even happens in large cities. And that just trickles down. You have doctors involved, insurance companies involved. But in order for all this to stop, if there's no money to be made by a doctor prescribing a med, there's no, why would he take a risk, or she? Like,
right.
You know, if there's no money in it, why are they risking it?
Right.
Would you risk your livelihood over absolutely nothing?
And here's what we know about Dr. Ataya. Is that how you say it? Ataya had 3 different practices, right? In 3 different locations. He had one in Lapeer, Flint Township, and Richfield Township. Why would that be necessary? Because you're trying to get as many patients as you can, right? And if you're billing insurance like on a per patient fashion, yeah, of course you're going to want to set. That's setting up like multiple trap houses throughout the city, right? So you can hit the east side and the north end.
Yeah, that's all it was a drug house.
Right.
I mean, when you have a doctor has enough time to have 3 different practices, and one of the comments I read, well, actually a few, where there was multiple doctors that were in and out. They would hire in, and then they'd leave. Thanks, Deb. Thanks.
Yeah.
Just call us out right all over Facebook, YouTube. Just call us out. No, but it's that just kind of goes into you could call it a bromance, you could call it whatever you want. But fact of the matter is,
I just couldn't find an Uber.
You couldn't find an Uber. They're not working. It's 6 foot or more, you know.
Yeah, right.
So I put Tim in the trunk, so he was 6 feet away. And
it's a big trunk, though. It's not like it sounds. Like I was on my phone. I could look out the window and stuff. It's a Jeep trunk.
Did he open a vent for you?
So
I could breathe. I don't know if he opened an vent.
Yeah, the point of that is like we have to take care of everyone, right? Especially right now in these crazy times. But yeah, that's call it what you want. Deborah, your mind is blank.
My mind is blown.
Yeah.
Wow.
But no, that's you're seeing this a lot, Lisa. A lot of doctors are shying away from it. You get a lot of dentist offices that are they're going away from the Vicodins and they're going to Motrin and Tylenol.
And my dentist, I let him know, and I've been blessed to get lots of dental work. I let my dentist know years ago, like, man, don't give me that because it's not for me, right? Unless you really screw up and you like punch a big old hole in my gums. No. I don't want it. If at all possible, don't give me that. And he hasn't since.
See, one of the smart things you have to do too, and I think when you're in recovery, you have to acknowledge that. It's not an embarrassment when you go into your dentist and say, hey, I prefer not to have Vicodins, right?
Yeah.
They'll let you know when they think you should, right? But
and you got to tell on yourself is what you're saying, right? Yeah, that's what I did, and I knew, like, man, I have to tell them this visit. And we talking about having reservations in recovery, and that's an example of one. Like, I'm going to go into this dentist's office, and I know I should tell him that I'm in recovery and I don't want him to prescribe me narcotics, but I'm not going to in case I change my mind in the future. Right. In case I relapse, I don't want to close that door. Right. It's like going to a casino and saying I have a gambling problem, and then they shut you out for good. That kind of thought goes through your mind. So when I was in recovery and in a moment of strength, that's when I told him, like, look, I can't, please don't. I appreciate it in the past. You never did anything wrong. You've taken good care of me. This is how to take care of me going forward.
and you have to tell on yourself to save yourself.
Right.
Can't save your face and your ass.
That is right, and that's a good statement.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. You have to be open with that, and I think they're starting to go that direction. There's controls in place. You have maps. You have. It's a well-known problem. It's an epidemic. It's and it's being more acceptable. I don't want to say acceptable, but people are talking about it. Where it used to be, nope, we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to mention it. They may know somebody is addicted to pills or alcohol or whatever in the neighborhood, but you really didn't talk about it. Like that was it. You just knew, and there goes the town drunk again, right? But now we're kind of talking about it.
Say that, don't we?
Yeah, we're kind of talking about it. Like, hey, why do you think he drinks? Hey, you need some help, bro? Like when they're stumbling down with their bike, falling over, get some help, right? And I think that's becoming more of a thing, especially with doctors. We do have locally a couple of doctors, one specifically who is involved with the local Families Against Narcotics chapter. He does come and speak occasionally. He will give you physical therapy before he gives you a pill.
Oh, good.
So that's a good thing. And I actually approached him on
Getting physical therapy or a pill?
Yeah, and he gave me physical therapy.
That's good.
No, I actually approached him on someone that I was afraid of their well-being, right? And as it boils down to the whole point, he took it very well. And we had a really good conversation. So he truly does care. He really doesn't want to see anybody go down that road. And
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. You're fine.
Well, I was just gonna say, and that's awesome, right? Like having a good doctor, a good dentist, that's like an asset, right? For anybody, but especially for someone like me in recovery. We talk about that toolbox and the ways to unlock it, like that. That's something that is valuable to me. That's something that like I can count on, is that I get good health care. I get good dental care. I have managed to stumble upon good people,
They're taking care of everything. They're taking care of your teeth and you. They're taking care of your foot and you.
Yeah.
And that's what it has to be like. And you'll know when you walk in a doctor's office. A lot of times they have pamphlets out there. Lots of pamphlets for addiction, how to get help, and what are the signs of addiction, those type of pamphlets. Then you know that doctor's probably not going to just write you a script for Vicodins or Xanax or whatever.
Which is good.
Or a boat, right? A boat. They're going to send you in the right direction, and that's a good thing.
That's an old name, a boat. I haven't heard that in many
I've never
years.
heard that. I like it. I almost am sad I'm out of the game now because I don't get to use it.
Yeah, you don't need to be in the game.
No, you're right. It's not a good trade-off.
No.
So Katrina can't wait till fan opens again. Yep. And with that, we're gonna close off here pretty soon. But that's a good way to close out the show. We like to remind people as we sit here at home, social distancing, stay-at-home orders in place. It looks like they're gonna start easing up on that here pretty soon. But I don't foresee them easing up on groups right away. It's all phased in if you've been paying attention.
Right. We're going to look at things like no more than gatherings of 10.
Yeah.
And that's going to mean fans probably got a couple months to go.
A lot of these groups are going to be a couple months out. And we just want to remind people that there are Zoom groups out there. There's plenty of them. If you guys are interested, let us know. Drop a thumbs up in the comments or something. And we'll get one going. We'll do one tonight. I don't care. You got see, Tim bought an Xbox.
Yeah, there's no way.
Believe it or not.
Did he buy an Xbox?
Oh yeah.
Believe it or not, it would be hard to peel him away for a group, but I bet you he could do it. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. You'd be watching me with the controller in my hand.
Right. So Tim would be like half there, half not.
Exactly, which is kind of par for the course.
Yeah. So Katrina says, yes, it would be on Zoom. And kind of what we do is we keep it a little loose. We talk about a little bit of everything from addiction to recovery to family to recipes and just all over the place. Whatever you feel like talking about. It's just a way to maybe talk to someone different since we're locked up. And I'm really getting sick of talking to Tim here. So I'd be happy to see some of you instead of him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So group from they're running those in the jails now, Katrina. So they were kind of pushed to go that way, and that's where they went.
And I want to say real quick, the local AICC is awesome. Like it's a small group of therapists that they've all been there for like 10 years or so. The guy who's run it has been there for like 20. I think it says something when you've had every one of your employees has been with you for like a decade. I go there for therapy. I've worked with even the receptionist is great. So if you're in the area and you're looking at getting some kind of therapy, AICC is a great option.
Earl, you can come love on this guy. I'm done, man.
I'll take it.
We're 6 weeks into this. Right?
I want someone to hold me at night. So I don't know if that's what you had in mind, Earl, but you can private message me.
Ann says you're not that bad and I should stop. I agree, Ann. I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Joe. He's not that bad.
I really appreciate when someone takes the time to say I'm not that bad. That's good. Thank you for sharing that. I am not really that bad in my opinion either.
We'll talk off air, Ann, okay? Holy moly, Natalie, the medical warrior shows up at the last minute.
Go to sleep, Natalie.
Go to sleep. For those of you who don't know or haven't seen, check out the medical warrior. That's Natalie. Had over 100 surgeries, does a little podcast and a few Facebook Lives lately. She's awake, finally. But yeah, so Natalie, you're going to have to go back and watch it later. We're not going to try to catch you up.
No. Okay. Somebody else we might. Kick rocks, Natalie.
Yeah, seriously. He's different. Who's different?
Who?
Tim.
Which one?
Which one, Deborah?
Not me. I'm regular.
Like, point to who you think's different.
Yeah, no. I'm regular.
Yeah, I am.
I'm regular.
I'm not a he.
So
it could be a good thing.
Earl, that's what we do, man. We want to keep it loose, keep it fun, but informative
and entertaining.
Yes. And if you go way back, you'll see a big, huge difference. I swear, the first video we did, it's on our Facebook page. It looks like we were doing it from a jail cell. We were both kind of like just stiff, kind of like blah, blah, blah. And I think there was maybe 2 jokes in there, right? Tim threw one out and I threw one out. But we've lightened up. We've gotten used to the whole camera, lighting, microphone. It's
massive amounts of fame.
Yeah, Tim walks around with a cape around downtown.
I do.
That was you?
Yeah. You didn't know?
Oh, I just seen a cape flying in the wind.
That was me.
So a lot of people always ask, and this I think is worth discussing. So when you're in recovery, let's be honest, there's always a chance of relapse.
Yes.
There always is. So a lot of people that say to me, hey, I think it's a great thing you guys are doing. They love Tim, that he opens up about himself and his story and a lot of personal things that helps a lot of parents and family members and even people in recovery. So a lot of times people say, okay, people tend to relapse, and that's part of recovery. And I'm not trying to give Tim a free pass here, but what they say to me is, what happens if Tim relapses?
Oh, shit. I didn't know that was a topic.
Yeah, no, I've heard it twice or 3, maybe 3 times.
Hey,
so
it's fair. It's a fair question.
It's a fair question.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wait to see what their next statement will be, and it'll be, are you going to find somebody else in recovery? And you know what my answer is? It's going to be called law and kicked his fucking ass. So to answer all your questions about that, We ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, and you know what? So that means I can't relapse because you've already done so much branding. That would be super expensive to have to rebrand the whole thing.
Yeah, I would kill him.
That would cost thousands of dollars.
That flag was done by a guy I work with.
Yeah.
It's massive. It's high quality. It's good stuff.
It is.
The logo is actually.
It's nice. Actually.
Yeah, it's not all flush and done with cheaply. It's some.
Yeah,
good quality stuff.
It's like, so it's useful. You can be like, I'm not going to catch COVID. Knock on wood.
Just be careful.
Joe's not going to kick my ass.
Oh, Deb wants your seat.
Oh, wow, you're gunning for me. Well, that's good to hear because that means like
always have goals. Okay, Deb,
yeah,
always have goals.
I appreciate it. If I've made this seat attractive to somebody out there such that they would like to have it for themselves, I must be doing something right.
Yep. And at the end of the day, we're just trying to, like we said, keep it entertaining, have some fun, but be informative and offer support. That's all we're here for. We're not here to get famous. I was kidding when I said Tim runs around with a cape on. He actually runs around in his underwear. He's got law and disorder underwear.
I didn't have a mask. I had to use something.
Yeah. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. We thank Laurie for stopping in, and we will catch you guys. We'll let you know when we go live again. Soon enough. Looks like we got at least another 2 weeks of this stay-at-home stuff, and we're out.
We're out.
You all be safe.